Hi everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! And I've been up for far too long playing far too much Pokemon Unite, specifically a ton of Trevenant and also a lot of the Pokemon that were nerfed and buffed in the balance patch. But this video is about Trevenant and whether or not you should buy Trevenant. Trevenant costs 10,000 coins or an amount of gems that I'm not sure what it is, 565, something like that. It is a defender. It's the most recent Pokemon released in the game. If you are wondering what Pokemon is coming next, there is a video on my channel. I'm not going to spoil it in this video, but there is a video on my channel talking about the next Pokemon that is coming. So if you're thinking, should I buy this or should I wait for that Pokemon? I would say, take a look at that video because you might be very excited about what is coming next. So, I get asked all the time, should I buy X, should I buy Y? And I'm like, why are we talking about old Pokemon games? But when people ask, should I buy X or should I buy Y as a replacement for a word like Lucario or Gengar, or Garchomp, etc., I'm always a little hesitant to give them an answer because there are so many factors involved as to whether or not you're going to like a Pokemon inside this game or you're going to use a Pokemon inside this game. Let's talk about Trevenant specifically, some of the pros, some of the cons, and maybe why or why not you would pick this Pokemon up. Let's start with fun factor. I actually think Trevenant is very fun. I think it's a fun Pokemon to play. I like it. I like playing it. I like the stuns from Woodhammer. I like using Curse and Horn Leech to get kind of this infinite combo going of using your moves. It's a pretty good time. I think that's important in a lot of Pokemon. I didn't have a lot of fun playing, for instance, a Pokemon like Decidueye when it was released. However, now Decidueye has received multiple buffs, so every Pokemon can change over its lifespan. I just think right now Trevenant is pretty fun. Let's talk about it from a competitive angle. I don't think you're going to be seeing a lot of Trevenant in high-level competitive games. And in fact, I do think it's a little on the weaker side compared to a lot of the Pokemon in the game. This is all early, so maybe in the next day or two, I will realize how wrong I am. I really do like a couple of its builds. I like Woodhammer, and I like Curse. I kind of like using them both with Horn Leech. I like that more, I think, than the Pain Split ability, but again, still very new to the character. I think that what's happening with this Pokemon is its damage output is not super high, so it does have really good sustain, but it just doesn't have a lot of damage that it's adding to the fight. You're there for a long time, but you're not even CCing the enemies as much as you would like, and because you also take so long to kind of get good, I have to wonder where they would put this Pokemon in any type of competitive meta. I guess it would be the bottom lane in place of someone like Snorlax or Wiggly or Mime or something like that. But I just feel like you're giving up so much utility with those Pokemon compared to this. You don't have a ton of... Yeah, you don't have a ton of CC. You don't have a ton of control with this Pokemon. My light's like messing up here. You don't have a ton of CC and control. Horn Leech does move people around, but... And Woodhammer has a nice stun. It just feels like it takes it a while to come online, and then it's still not as beneficial to the team as maybe some of the other Pokemon. So competitively, I don't think you're going to see this Pokemon, and I do think damage-wise, it's probably a little undertuned right now, a little bit. Not an insane amount. I think it could be tweaked up, but I think a little undertuned. Playing it, I feel like at times I'm not as impactful as I would like to be, and then at other times I'm sustaining myself throughout an entire team fight. They can never KO me. I'm harassing every single enemy. I'm just running around being a real menace, and it's a really fun time. So I think that's something to consider, is that I don't think this Pokemon is super competitive. I don't. I think it's fine, maybe a little underwhelming competitive wise. So if that's something that you're really concerned with, is playing a Pokemon that is a top meta choice, something that benefits your team as much as possible, I do think this Pokemon pales in comparison to some of the defenders and supporters that are out there right now. Again, Wiggly, Mime, Snorlax, Blastoise, Pokemon like, or Greedent in a very different way, but Pokemon like that I think are in a better position than Trevenant is in this game. I think that's maybe one of the biggest things that people are going to walk away with. I noticed a lot of people in my chat tonight were not super stoked on this character, and I felt like the last time I saw this was Decidueye. So the last time I saw people in chat kind of bummed about getting a new Pokemon. Oop, I kicked my desk so hard. The last time I saw people kind of bummed about getting a new Pokemon was Decidueye like this, because it costs, I believe, also 10k coins, and it kind of came out and it felt a little slow and underwhelming. I think that's going to be the same feelings behind Trevenant. Again, I'm actually having more fun with Trevenant than I did with Decidueye, but I think this Pokemon is in a spot where they're going to need to tune it up a little bit to make it more competitive, and maybe at that point people will have a better time with it. Right now, though, it's purely anecdotal, but most of the people popping into my stream tonight who had purchased Trevenant were a little disappointed by it. I had a couple that liked it, and I'll be honest, again, I like it. I actually think it's fun. I just think, if I have to be honest, I don't think most people are going to walk away from this Pokemon and feel super satisfied that they picked him up. It's just missing that little something, you know? And part of it might be its early game that I kind of mentioned a little earlier in the video. Its early game that I mentioned a little earlier on. Its early game is just weak. It's really, really weak. So when you have a Pokemon that's that weak in lane and you're going up against lane bullies like Wiggly and Snore and stuff like that, yeah, you're kind of in trouble. It's not super good at securing farm, so it's going to take you a little while to get your level. And then once you get that, you have to get your next move. I think once it has its 2 moves, though, it really becomes very cool. The Curse Hornleech build, I think, is particularly interesting because you can kind of combo your moves in a really good bit of a loop where you keep resetting your abilities, which is really, really fun. You're pushing the enemies around the battlefield. You're losing health because some of your abilities like Curse drains health from you, and then you're getting it back when you're using your Hornleech, which Curse, when it's fully charged, is able to reset the cooldown of that. So there's a really cool back and forth with your moves. Again, it feels a little like Serena a little bit, but just in a defendery way. I think if there was maybe more disruption in the battlefield using that little combo, I think maybe I would feel a little bit better about recommending Trevenant. So right now, even though I'm having fun with it, overall, I do have to say I think a lot of people are going to walk away a little disappointed. Yeah, I do. I think this Pokemon probably needs a little bit of a buff, and it might not even be one of those just stat buffs, although I do think some of its damage numbers feel a little light. I think this Pokemon probably needs a buff, not only to that, but also to maybe the amount of control that it's able to exercise on the battlefield. Oh, I will say, though, Wood Hammer, I mean, when you're nailing those Wood Hammers and stunning multiple people on the enemy team, it's a really good time. I'm curious, if you did buy Decidueye, what do you... Decidueye? It is late. I have been up for 24 hours. If you did buy Trevenant, what do you think of it? I mean, did you walk away? Are you happy with your purchase? Do you think like, I wish this Pokemon was a little bit better? I'm curious, and I really do want to hear from the people who are happy with this Pokemon, because again, I do kind of like it. As funny as that is, because I do think it's a little not so great in a way. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I will see you all next time. Mwah!